Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of our program. Here we are once again for another episode of English, and we've got some very interesting topics to discuss on this episode, but let me first welcome our guest, Ms. Heba. Hello Ms. Heba and welcome to the program.
Hi Yasser, how are you?
How is everything? I'm
Nice.
fine, yeah.
Great.
Everything is fine. So, what do you have in store for us today?
Actually today we are going to talk about someone who is my favorite. She is a poetess. She was a poetess actually. She's American and she's kind of weird.
Weird?
Yeah,
Strange?
weird, strange. Her name is Emily Dickinson.
Yeah.
And Emily was born in 1830 and she actually died not so old. She died when she was 56 years old.
Yeah.
So kind of died young, but her life is full of interesting things. So today we will
So
talk
she
about
was a
Emily.
poet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us.
Do you like poetry?
I love poetry, especially Emily's, because she is so interesting and so deep, actually. So we can talk about her life. When she was born, actually, Emily lived almost all of her life in her family's house.
Yeah.
You know, at that time in the 1830s, girls were not allowed to go out for work, and they were actually not allowed to write and publish their works. So all of her works were written in another name, in a man's name. She didn't publish her works while she was alive. She was educated at the nearby Amherst Academy. She studied English and classical literature and Latin. Also, she was taught in other subjects like religion, history, math, geology, and biology. At that time, girls were taught at home mostly. So she...
and they paid much attention to education.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
And to learning languages, learning the arts, you know, and especially Latin. Latin was...
Yes, Latin was one of the languages they should know about. At 17, actually, Dickinson began attending Mary Lyons Mount.
We're not talking about her father now, we're talking about her.
Yeah, yes. Dickinson is Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, of course.
Her name was Emily Elizabeth Dickinson.
Yeah, but we usually use the surname
the
to
surname.
mean the person.
Exactly. She went to seminary. It's a college. She returned home after less than a year there, and she didn't return to the school. She didn't continue school. Some speculate or some think that she was homesick. However, there is also an idea that she refused to sign an oath stating that she would devote her life to religion. So in the seminary, it's kind of religious school. She didn't want to dedicate all her life to religion, so she left school.
She wasn't religious.
No, she wasn't religious actually.
So she didn't, التعبير هنا بقى إيه? She didn't further her education.
Exactly. She dropped out of school.
She dropped out of school.
Yes. She was a kind of recluse. Recluse means isolated. Yes.
مع نفسها كده.
She only left home only for short trips to visit nearby relatives. Always wore white. So she always wore white clothes. And she didn't
always,
go out.
we can also say always dressed in white.
In white, exactly. She always dressed in white. Only 10 poems were published during her life. Although she wrote a lot of things, she wrote only 10 of her written poems were published during her life, and not under her name, and under a man's name, because at that time, as I told you, they didn't want or they didn't like that females or
I guess they call it
women.
a pseudonym.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, she didn't marry. She had fallen in love once, but she didn't marry, and she wrote passionate poetry. Her poetry was were passionate, means full of love. She died because of a kidney disease. She had a kidney disease by which she died. And after her death, her family found 40 handwritten volumes containing more than 1,700 poems.
That's too many.
Too many, yes. She did nothing in her life except writing poems. Only 10 were published in her life, and they found about 1,700 poems.
That means she got her fame after she passed away.
Exactly. When she passed away, she got her fame because her brother published her works, but while she was alive, she was not famous at all. There are some quotes of Emily Dickinson, like, "I dwell in possibility." Dwell means to walk or live.
Yeah, to live.
You will find that a lot of her quotes are so deep. You have to think about them carefully because they are not just the words you hear. You have to think about them. Like, "I dwell in possibility" means I have a boring life. Okay, when you live in everything is possible, so it is kind of boring.
Yeah.
But if she said, "I dwell in impossibility," I think this time this will make it more challenging. So I dwell in possibility. Heaven is what I cannot reach. I cannot reach heaven. By heaven, she doesn't mean heaven as the heaven we know, Jannah. No, here she means happiness. By heaven, because they always associated heaven with happiness. So here she says, heaven is what I cannot reach. So she
Very
cannot.
pessimistic.
She was, sorry. And she always, as I told you, wore in white, dressed in white. White there, then it was not...
that happy color.
No, that was not that happy color. Success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. This is another quote, that those who never succeed will find success very nice for them because they never succeeded, so the success will be a great thing for them. Water is taught by thirst. I think this is another deep quotation because you will never know what is the meaning of water or what is the value of water unless you are thirsty. So water is taught by thirst. These are just some quotations, but actually her poems are so famous and you can find them all on the internet. And they are not long poems, by the way. The longest one could be about 10 lines only. But most of her poems are short, like 6 lines, 5, mainly 5 lines.
How about if we listen to some of her
please.
poems
I would love
right
this.
now?
Really, this is
Yeah,
nice.
okay, Miss Haleh, you can go ahead and let us listen to her poetry. So that was a poem, or part of a poem, for this poet, Emily. I guess her language is not that complicated.
No, the meanings are complicated, not the language. Whenever she writes something, she means something behind it. She doesn't mean the right or direct meaning of the word. They said that she was weird. Do you know that she, after 1860s, she didn't leave her house. Even if she wanted to give sweets or treats to children of the neighborhood, she would lower these things in a basket to them, that they will never see her face. She was weird. And she didn't, I think she didn't believe much in herself as a woman, in her beauty or something. She always looked at herself as plain, not pretty. And I think this is why.
And look at how she started her poem.
Yeah.
I'm nobody.
I'm nobody. Yes, she has a lot of low self-esteem. Actually, I have something here, one of the poems, that will show you how pessimistic she was. Like when she says, "This is my letter to the word that never wrote to me." When you say this, يعني, I'm writing a letter to the word that never wrote to me. So she doesn't feel optimistic about life. She feels that the word or life had betrayed her.
She doesn't belong.
She doesn't belong.
like a fish out of water.
Yes. The simple news that nature told with tender majesty. Her message is committed to hands I cannot see. So here I cannot see the hands of nature. For love of her, sweet countrymen judge tenderly of me. So here she thinks that people will not judge her rightly. So Emily Dickinson was a kind of a character actually. She
Maybe
was
because she
weird.
lived this, you know, isolated life. She didn't mix much with people. Maybe she didn't have experience or enough experience.
And you know something, all the poets should have something weird in their life to be poets, because you can't write poetry because of happiness. People mostly write poetry because of sadness.
Yeah.
So I think that because of this character, we have these lovely poems of hers. So I
It's
kind
a
of love
strong
her.
feelings
Yes.
that, you know,
Yes.
give people or poets in particular inspiration.
And she is one of the most famous female poets. There were not many female poets at that time. Yes, this is Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, we have another, you know, poem to listen to. So
Yes,
let's listen
please.
to this poem and we'll be back.
Success by Emily Dickinson. Success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of all the purple host who took the flag today can tell the definition so clear of victory as he defeated dying, on whose forbidden year the distant strains of triumph break agonized and clear.
So that was part of Emily Dickinson's poetry. Actually, she's sad, always sad.
Yeah, kind
And
of.
by the way, this is not her voice. you
No,
know.
no, of course
Yeah.
it's not her voice. They have chosen someone who is
As pessimistic, as sad, as gloomy as
pessimistic.
her.
Actually, she's not sad all the time, but she's not happy.
Mhm.
She's always thoughtful and she's always analytical to
Yeah.
life.
But you know, we know a lot of people whose works are always, you know, sad. Like,
Yeah.
for example, Charles Dickens
Yeah.
is one of the very gloomy writers.
Yes.
You know, and we have some singers as well. I mean, the best of Hany Shakir's songs are the sad ones, for example.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And this is nice, kind of nice, by the way, because I love both. I love Charles Dickens, I love Hany Shakir, because sadness is kind of, you know, purify your soul, kind of.
Yeah.
And it reminds you of sad moments. Well, sometimes you need to be sad, because you can't be happy all the time. To feel the happiness, water couldn't be known except by thirst, as she said. You can know happiness unless you are sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes maybe you're happy, but you look for something melodramatic.
Melodramatic, yes. We need all of these feelings in our life: sadness, melodrama, happiness. This is a variety of life that gives it taste.
Yeah. All right. Let's do something else now.
Yeah. Actually, I have something so light. It's grammar, but not grammar as you
Yeah.
all know it. It's not complicated. It's very, very easy and light. The difference between to and enough. We all know that to means أيضا, but also to is kind of an adverb. When I say this coffee is too hot to drink, I mean this. I mean that I can't drink it. No way, because it is too hot.
Yeah. We
This
can
is a
also
big
add here
difference.
very, because if you say it's very hot,
It's fine.
It's okay. It's very hot, but I can drink it.
To is kind of a negative word, but very is a positive one.
Yeah.
Let us go in details about this. Both to and enough are used to talk about how much or how little of something there is. So to means too much, and enough means how much or how little something is there. When we use to describe the negative effect of having more than necessary, as we have said, it's the homework is too difficult.
Yeah.
I mean that I can do
can't
it.
do
No,
it.
no way. It's too cold to work in the garden, so no way I can work there because it's too cold, maybe -20 or something. And also, it's too late to see the film now.
Yeah.
It has finished.
Usually this expression, it's too late.
It's too late.
خلاص يعني
انقضى يعني
فات
الأوان.
الأوان يعني.
Yes, it's too late. And this is a negative of
And I like the expressions too good to be true.
Yeah, this means that it's not true.
No, it means it's like
It's like a dream?
It's very good, something very good.
Too
you
good
know?
to be true.
Like
Yeah.
I could describe someone as too good to be true.
Yes.
For example, يعني الشخص ده هايل جدا لدرجة ان انا مش مصدق ان في حد كده بالجمال ده بالروعة دي. He's too good to be true. She's too good to be true.
Are there people like this?
يعني المفاجأة مثلا بتاعة الماتش اللي لعبناه مع الكونغو.
Yes.
لما جبنا when we scored the
was
goal
too-
at the last minute.
Yes.
It was too good to be true. يعني كانت حاجة
A fantastic
يعني
moment.
بالظبط لحظة
Exactly.
يعني جميلة جدا لدرجة ان احنا يعني مش قادرين نستوعب انها حصلت بالفعل.
Nice example, yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, nice example. Then we have the word enough. We use enough to describe the effects of having or not having the right amount of something. Like, for example, John is impatient enough to work as a teacher. Okay, John has no patience or is not patient enough. He doesn't have the amount of patience that qualify him to be a
مش
teacher.
صبور بالدرجة
بالدرجة,
الكافية
yes,
يعني.
exactly. The dress isn't big enough, so she can't wear it. It is not her size. When I say something is not big enough, enough can be used before a noun to mean all that is necessary. Like when I say, thank you, I have enough money. I don't need any money, I have enough.
We can say that enough here means below standard.
But okay.
Yeah.
But okay.
it's below standard.
Below, yes. I don't drink enough water, means that I have to
I mean,
drink
the
more
food
water.
wasn't good enough.
Yeah, below standard, as you said, but it was eaten.
Yeah.
For example, do you eat enough vegetables? Okay, so you need to eat more. My brother doesn't do enough exercise, so he has to do more. So here too, we can say, as we said, we didn't play tennis yesterday, it was too cold. This is too plus adjective. Or we can use it with an adverb. Like, for example, the man's voice was too soft. He spoke too softly. So, too as an adverb. Too, by the way, is adverb. We can use it before an adjective, or we can use it before an adverb, another adverb. She, for example, runs too slowly. She runs, or she writes too slowly. Here I got too before an adverb. Or she is too slow. Here I got it before an adjective. So I can use it in both ways. Coming to enough. We couldn't hear the music. It wasn't loud enough. Here we got not plus adjective. Wasn't loud enough. So I got the adjective before enough. So too comes before, while enough comes after. We couldn't swim. The water wasn't hot enough. It came after an adjective. We need 2 pizza. This one is not big enough for 4 people. So the difference between enough and too, enough comes after the adjective or the adverb, but too comes before them.
Yeah.
So we can say that after too and not something enough, we can use the too infinitive or for plus noun or pronoun. Like when I say he's too young to go to work. He is too young to go to work. Here I got to infinitive plus go, or he's not old enough. So I can replace too young by not old enough. By the way, this comes a lot in the syllabus of the ثانوية عامة. So they have to pay attention for this. I can replace too young by not old enough. I got the opposite of the adjective and use not and enough instead of
She's too young to get married.
Means not old enough to get married.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's just a little difference between too and enough. Slight grammar for today.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. But it is never too much.
It is never too much.
Yes.
All right. So on this episode, we've talked about a very famous poet, Emily Dickinson, and we've had some of her, we've listened to some of her poetry. Actually, it's very interesting to be interested in poetry. You know, people nowadays are not that much interested in poetry. People are getting more practical, you know.
Lyrics, they just hear lyrics of songs.
Songs, but not
poetry.
Poetry, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's poetry purifies the soul.
Exactly, of course. Literature, classic literature is you need it sometimes. You need to enrich your soul with this.
Yeah,
yes.
and usually the best poetry has already been written, you know.
Yeah, there's no poetry anymore, actually. I don't think people write any more poetry.
In the past, you know, if you remember the stories of kings, you know, the kings used to get poets around them.
Yeah, they have their own poets around them, yes.
Yeah, and poets had a great effect on the rule of a king, for example.
And they were highly appreciated also.
Yeah, because they could reach to the people, you know, so they could affect people.
Yes.
So a poet's standing in the past
so different from now.
Yeah, was much better than now.
No, now we don't have any poets.
Yeah.
I don't think we have.
And I don't like much this colloquial poetry of today.
Yeah, I understand you. But sometimes it reaches the people more than other
the masses
standards. Yeah, the masses, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we've also talked about
two and enough.
Yeah, we've talked about two and enough. We've shown the difference between two. Two means like it exceeds the limit.
In a negative way.
Yeah, in a negative way. If I say it's too hot, it means I can't stand it. I can't stand the heat. I need to turn on the air conditioner, for example. But we also there is so. So is different from two.
Yeah.
Like so is like very. Yeah.
More positive.
Yeah. So if this is, I mean, this is so difficult. The exam was so difficult.
But I managed to just write anything in it.
Yeah, but if I said it was too difficult, it means that I'm gonna fail, maybe. Yeah.
Yes.
So these differences are very important to learn because they affect the meaning. So do not just use the words without learning what they actually mean. It's very important to do that. And from time to time, we pinpoint some important, like say, remarks. We just give you some light remarks about grammar, language function, wherever. I hope you've had, you know, good understanding of what we've said on this episode. I'd like to thank you very much, Ms. Heba.
Thank you.
For being with us and for this interesting episode. We'll be meeting you next week, inshallah. And don't forget to join our Facebook group. It's called, برنامج لغات العالم. Until we meet you again, have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.